if you went in a time machine and took this to them and gave them some instruction and showed them how to use it, they would probably be like, oh, I'm going to kill so much stuff.
On this episode of Up North Airgunner, we're going to be highlighting the brand new limited release FX Airguns Crown Mark II Iraq Veteran 8888 limited edition, and this thing is absolutely awesome. Teamed up with GRS rifle stocks, there's only going to be 100 of these released, and for every rifle that's sold, $100 is going to be donated to the Special Operations Wounded Warrior charity. So that's $10,000 donated to help the life of a Special Operations Forces service member. So what was great about it, while we were down in Georgia hunting with Eric and Chad and Oscar from GRS Rifle Stocks, we were able to use one of the prototypes that FX had been working on, and that thing was a beast. So what's going on the inside of this thing is FX's Ernest Rowe took this thing apart and just completely decked it out. Tungsten hammer, slug power kit. This thing is slinging so much heat. It is literally the most powerful FX Crown ever released. So definitely, if you are looking for an awesome rifle right now, the FX Crown, this FX Crown, is the one that you need to be looking at. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive on all the things that you can do with this rifle. All right, so I'm going to make a bold statement, and that is I have had more fun as a hunter in the 30 years of hunting with the FX Crown than any other hunting implement that I've ever used. So what has been the most kind of exciting about this journey with the FX Crown Arrow Kit is really, it's been kind of drawing upon my archery experiences and talking with other hunters that consider themselves solely archery hunters, and really taking like a lot of the science and a lot of the physics behind what goes into traditional archery hunting and applying that to airgun slinging arrows. It's been great testing a lot of things. Oscar and I have had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of ballistics testing for deer and other large game animals like pigs with these. Massive penetration. So the next horizon for me is turkey hunting with airguns and specifically with arrowhead airguns. So coming up in the month of April, calling it the Up North Airgunner FX Turkey Tour. Ultimately what it is the week after the Northeast Airgun Classic, going to Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, and we're going to be hunting turkeys. So other than slinging arrows at turkeys, I will also be able to go a little thunder chicken hunting with the new javelin and slugs. So if you got a 30 cal, definitely make sure you check these out. The purpose of this video today, though, is really looking at all the different broadheads that I recommend that you should be using with the FX Crown Arrow Kit. So let's get the easier ones out of the way, because these I will stand by these for every type of hunting. And these are the Steel Force 225 grain. These things are absolutely amazing. They track like a field point as they fly. The penetration is absolutely insane with these. A new one is actually in talking with Troy from the Ranch Fairy.
What in the wild, wild west do we have here?
And these are the Tough Heads. And so the Tough Heads with these helical four-fletch that Troy said me, these things are wicked. So what the four-fletch helicals do, it basically gets it spinning almost like a blender as it flies down a range.
The reason why this is interesting is this is going to give us incredible accuracy for broadhead and bone testing and some really consistent velocities.
So definitely check out the Tough Heads on those because they're very similar to the Steel Force, very much that single bevel traditional broadhead style. Just can't go wrong with it. You can literally shoot like cement blocks with those things and they're just sharpen them back up and they're good to go. So the next one is let's talk about mechanicals, okay? Had a few failures in the early days. They've gotten a lot better in recent years. But the one that I absolutely love is the Thorn Rift 2.2s. The cutting diameter on those things are absolutely wicked. The deer that I got 2 years ago with that thing just, I mean, it looked like I hit it with like a hatchet. It was just gruesome. Now, for penetration, I will always on the air on the side of a single bevel heavy broadhead now. That's pretty much full stop. That's the reason why I'm going with these, because we've tested these. They will blast through shoulder blades. They're going to penetrate deep. For me and deer, That's what I'm going with. And definitely pigs. That's what I'm going with. But turkey, yeah, you know, they are like kind of like hit the big pillow, especially if they're in a full strut, you know, tom. That's a lot of feathers, but you're still going to penetrate fine with these. But the big kind of fun part of this project today, though, is this. And these are the Magnus Decapitating Broadheads. So I've got a little bit of a history with these. It has nothing to do with air guns. But in previous years, I actually tried to get these things to fly straight out of my compound bow. This is my Boat Deck Carbon Overdrive. Getting a little old. Probably need to get a new bow here pretty soon. But I just could not get these broadheads to fly straight out of that thing. Just no matter what I do, they would zigzag, you know. And I know, you know, there's, you know, bare shaft tuning, a lot of things. And I've read online, you definitely need to tune your bow down to get it slower. But in my testing so far, these things are flying very, very straight out of the FX crown. And I think that there is a scientific reason behind that. And so whenever you get into archery equipment, you start looking at the reason why arrows are flying straight, you'll learn about a phenomenon called the arrow paradox or the archer's paradox. And a lot of that has to do with just the flexing of the arrow. It creates an unstable flight path. Now, the difference, though, between the FX crown and a traditional crossbow or compound bow is the way that the arrow or the bolt is propelled. So what's going on in this thing is that the way this works is the arrow is going over this shaft here, and it seats right in there. And what's happening is that whenever you fire the air gun, it's basically just hitting the ferrule at the end of the bolt here, right where the broadhead meets the bolt, and it's propelling it forward. And what's happening since all of that energy is being imparted on the tip of the bolt instead of the base of the bolt, we're not seeing any arrow paradox. It's basically flying straight like a missile, like a laser beam. So when you heard that, there was just a little bit of a pop right there. So watch what happens when I put this on. See how it kind of bounces back a little bit? What's happening is there's a little bit of an air pocket gets formed on the inside of this. It gets a nice air seal. See that? How it's kind of bouncing back? And you got to burp it.
Like this.
You got to burp that arrow as you put that in there. So one of the great things about the way to design this is just you're getting extremely straight and flat flight trajectories with pretty much anything I put on this. And the very first thing I wanted to test was the velocity claims, because in the sales literature for this thing, it says 400 feet per second. So when they said 400 feet per second, I was like, okay, that's really kind of pushing that up there. I know they did a lot of things on the internals, but to get that up to 400 feet per second, it's going to take a lot of oomph. So I set up my box target here in my basement. I've got exactly 15 yards here in my basement to play with. I set up my box target and I sent it, and check this out.
430.
Well, that blew right through. So look how much absolute power that had. That blew through the box, through the insulation, into the cement wall, and pushed that tip all the way into the carbon fiber shaft. I need to be using my other box target for these. So I've got a 500 feet per second no limit spider web target. So that's a good lesson learned. Do not use this with a regular box target because it's going to blow right through. 430 feet per second. That is absolutely wicked. And again, it has a lot to do with the power kit that's in this thing and the tungsten hammer running at a little bit of a higher pressure. But the one little kind of pro tip I want to share with you, and it's kind of an important one for a couple of reasons, is I do also coat my my rail here with silicone spray. And the reason why I do that is actually twofold. First off is that in my other crown, I've actually absolutely abused that thing. It is a tool, is a hunting implement for me, which means I'm going to be in the rain, I'm going to be in the snow, I'm going to be out in outside conditions. And the reason why I put the silicone spray on this is that you do not want this to get any kind of like rust on this. You want to protect this, but also do you want to lubricate that? And I think what's happening is whenever I put a bit of silicone spray in this and just a little bit, just a little spritz on the inside of that arrow, I think what it's doing is it's sealing the arrow like even better to the rail and providing more lubrication. So I might be picking up some feet per second just with that little technique. So definitely, if you're running any of the FX arrow kits, give it a little bit of a silicone spray on there to protect that and maybe give you a little bit of a performance increase. All All right, so we know it's shooting above 400 feet per second with the 250 grain arrows, but let's move this up to a 125 grain Magnus Decapitating Broadhead. They're doing all of this for some of you that might be new to some archery equipment or shooting arrow slingers with air guns, which you always want to do when you're testing for accuracy and getting your gun tuned in and actually zeroed in with your scope. You want to make sure your field points are the exact same weight as the broadheads you're slinging. So these are 125 grain. So we went out and we got some 125 grain field tips for the arrows. So I got a quick 10-yard zero here in the basement. And I did test these real quick. Just the curiosity was getting the best of me. And I just wanted to test to see if these actually perform the way you see them on YouTube and other people talking about them. Would this actually decapitate a turkey? So I grabbed one of my decoys. I set it up, and at 10 yards, the very first shot, just lopped that head off. Absolutely awesome. But that's just a foam turkey, right? There's no skeletal structure. There's no meat there. So I went to the grocery store, bought some supplies, and we kind of rebuilt the turkey, kind of created a bionic turkey to make sure we could replicate some of that skeletal structure and the hitting that meatiness of the neck. So with this test, took a sausage and we put a pencil on the inside of that sausage to replicate the spine, put it back in the turkey, set it back up here in the basement, and this is what happened. All right, so let's go ahead and reassemble the turkey here. There we go. All right. Good luck, little guy. The lethality of these is just unquestionable. Going for that neck shot, you just can't beat that right there. So will that arrow track straight enough so we will have enough confidence to use these in a hunting situation for a good ethical shot? So at 20 yards, we wrapped the turkey's head back on with some tape, quick little surgery for him. But yeah, first shot, 20 yards, boom, off with the head. So I held on the second line on the reticle, and that turkey's head popped right off. So we know at 20 yards it works great. So one of the things I noticed, though, in testing these, it seems like they're very susceptible to wind. I didn't notice any difference in the flight trajectory. It was flying very straight, but there wasn't that wiggle, okay? So what I think is happening is that the large broadhead on the front is just getting caught by the wind and getting thrown off just a little bit. On one of these shots, this one right here, even at 20 yards, I went for a headshot. There's a little bit of a gust of wind, and it pushed it off course by actually a couple inches at 20 yards, which is a little concerning. So wind died down, backed out to 30 yards, tried it again, boom, took the head right off at 30 yards. So I will say that if you're hunting in very calm conditions and you can replicate these results, definitely need to test this for yourself. But, I mean, I'll tell you what, these things are absolutely wicked and lethal. So, but for me, I may want to go with a fixed blade broadhead or maybe those Thorn 2.2s, because maybe I want to be able to take a shot maybe at 30, maybe 40 yards. That's really pushing it because the vital zone on a turkey is a very, very small. So, but if after a lot of practice and you understanding turkey anatomy very, very well, this is what this gun can do. So I also want to take this as an opportunity to talk to you a little bit about how to true your reticle in the Helix HD Raptor 1 reticle. So this is a second focal plane scope, and I love this thing. This right here is my do everything scope. I can put this on my crossbow. I can put this on my arrow slinging air guns. I can put this on my shotgun. I can put this on my 6.5 Creedmoor, and I can use the same reticle to true the reticle to all those different projectiles. So how I'm doing this and how we did this in this little experiment with these arrows is, for me, turkey hunting, I want to have the least amount of magnification as possible because I want to have the widest field of view. And when you're turkey hunting, I mean, those birds could be right on top of you. You do not need 5x or 10x or, God forbid, 16x magnification. So I wanted to hopefully find a good reticle truing as close to 2x as possible on this. So when I got out there, I started actually on 3x, and I went 10, 20, 30, and I noticed that 30 yards was just a little bit off.
point of aim, point of impact, a couple inches off at 30 yards.
Backed it out to 2x in 10, 20, 30. It was dead on. And so what I mean, it was just basically center mass shot.
Go. It probably went through the pillows. Let's push that back through. And right there at 10 yards, holding on right on the dot. Let's go check that out. So really, the dot and then the first line down, that's probably dead center. All right, let's push it out so we can see it. Let's see where that hit. So at 20 yards, let's see here where we got. I'm gonna hold second line down. Here we go. Center mass. Ooh, bingo. So let's push that back out. Oh yeah, money. This right here is my 30-yard hold using the second line. So we want to go 10, 20, 30.
So it was perfect. It lined up perfectly to the dot, the first line, the second line. But what was it going to do at 40 yards? So if I backed it out all the way to 40 yards, was that Raptor 1 reticle, the way that Element Optics has calculated where to place those lines, was it going to true up to that distance? So I backed it out to 40 yards and check this out.
Bingo. It doesn't get any more center mass than that. 40 yards, baby. Element Optics. See it, send it.
Absolutely drilled it. So yeah, what's great about that, I didn't really have to tinker with the magnification too much, but really to true your reticle to this, all you have to do is move the magnification in, move the magnification out, and then just line it up to your points of impact of where your arrow's hitting. So that's how you true the Element Optics Raptor reticle to any projectile. So absolutely love this thing. So one of the very best deals going on right now is at Optics Planet. So definitely check out Element Optics at Optics Planet because you're going to find some really screaming deals right now. All right, so there it is, everybody. A quick overview of the new Iraq Veteran 8888 Crown. Again, I'm going to be going on the Up North Airgunner FX Turkey Tour here in the coming weeks. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. Make sure you subscribe to Up North Airgunner, and more importantly, I want to hear your comments below. I know a lot of you are turkey hunters. I know a lot of you are archery hunters. Post your comments below. I really want to hear about some of your experiences, and I think as hunters, it's really important for us to share everything that works, everything that doesn't work. So yeah, post your comments below. I really want to hear your feedback. So thanks for joining me, everybody. Take care.